hackers, they are actually causing a lot of problems to organizations by intruding into IT systems. They cause hardship to a lot of people, causes a lot of problems to many people. We need to carry out a lot of awareness among the IT users in order to prevent crime from happening. Cyber crime is actually global. You know, there have been several instances wherein banks, customers' credit card information has been compromised by hackers and through cybercrime. So yeah, we need a stronger security framework.
The hackers do it for a reason. So if you know how Malaysia wants to censor the internet, then they'll obviously do something. But if it's something harmless, I don't think they'll do anything. So
hackers ni baguslah sebab dia supaya orang dia lebih, maksudnya orang yang pihak yang bekerja ni dia akan lebih sentiasa upgrade lah dia punya software supaya security tu lebih selamat lah.
Right, hello and welcome to Helo Malaysia, and I am your host, Siraji Sadisia. Nowadays, everything we do involves internet, and for those of you who do not know what internet means, it is a worldwide system of computer networks, a network of networks in which users at any one computer, if they have permission, get information from any other computers. Now, but having all this access, threats would be everywhere, and we need measures taken to protect our computer system against unauthorized access or attack, and that is when we need cybersecurity, and that is our topic for today, which is cybersecurity, a nuisance or a chaos. And with me, I have two very distinguished people. We have Drew Williams, the President and COO of Condition Zebra, and also Wilson Wong, the Managing Director of EC Council Academy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about threats. What is cyber threats? Let's define the cyber threats first.
Well, there's a difference between a risk, a threat, an attack,
right,
and a vulnerability.
Right.
A threat is something that may occur given the circumstances of the environment.
Right.
So if something's not in place, a security measure is not in place, a threat becomes imminent, or it becomes more likely than if a security protocol was put in place.
Right.
For example, and if we were to put it in layman's terms, if you're driving in a car at a high speed,
right, and
you hit something, if you don't have a seatbelt on, there's a threat that you're going to be killed by the steering wheel,
right,
or go through the windshield or worse. So that's
threat.
That's a threat.
Okay, let's talk about EC Council Academy. Can Wilson tell us about the background of EC Council?
EC Council Academy established in the year 2003.
Right.
Where we saw the huge gap between what is required by the industries compared to what is produced by the academicians.
Right.
Okay. So students who produce by the academicians are not actually fulfilling the gaps the industry needs.
Right.
That's why we brought the programs in from US, where we certify people on hacking, forensics. We have disaster recovery. We have network securities.
Right.
So we are closing the gap between what is needed by the industries and what is producing by the institutions and universities.
Right.
So we produce like 2,000 plus certified students in a year. Yeah.
Okay, and can you tell us how does the company is being tied to the information security community?
You see, we are very much tied to the industry demands. See, so far right now, we are like setting the benchmark to the industries that when they hire security professionals, they look for our credentials.
Right.
Before that, you see, if you hire, let's say, security experts, so what kind of qualifications, what kind of requirements do you look for? You see?
Right.
So right now they have certain benchmark already set up. So when you want to hire, let's say, security analysts, okay, you will hire, let's say, certified network hackers.
Right.
You want to hire network securities. So we have a program that tie back to network securities.
Right.
So the HR people, the employers actually know, you see, who are the qualified people, you see, qualified for the work, you see.
Right.
Yeah. So
when you say the word hackers, usually we have that negative perception on hackers. Can you explain a bit, because what you usually think about hackers are, they're hacked into people's computer without any permission. So could you explain a bit about hackers being part of the EC Council?
I think hacker is a very fabricated name.
Right.
Hacker is just a name. They are all security experts.
Right.
It's either you are a good hacker or you're the bad hackers.
Right.
So when people look at hackers, it's always on the bad side.
Sure.
But it's not that easy.
Sure.
The bad guys already know about hacking technologies. How about you good guys?
Right.
So we are here to put up a course, a methodology to deliver the courses to the masses.
Right.
It's not a choice that you need to learn or you don't have to learn.
Right.
You need to learn to catch up with the bad guys.
Right.
You see, before you've been hacked, you better hack yourself to actually find out the vulnerabilities.
Right.
Yeah. So the hacker, it really depends on how do you look at hackers.
Right.
Do you do it for the good purpose?
Right.
Or do you do it for the bad purpose?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the word hacker is a romanticized word.
Right.
It was born out of Hollywood.
Sure.
Back in the, actually the term just comes from just cutting away at something.
Right.
Actually, it was made famous by golfing. They used to call an amateur a real basic golfer who wasn't very good a hacker.
Right.
And then, somebody said, hey, would you take a look at my system? If there's something wrong with it, well, sure, I'll take a hack at it.
Right.
I'll take a crack at it.
Right.
And, it's used to describe, sarcastically, someone who's not very proficient in getting something done. Oh, he's an old hack at it.
Right.
And then it became romanticized and, very, espionage through movies and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when the negative perception. So let's talk about the kind of power the EC Council has towards Malaysian internet system.
You see, we produce, every year about 2,000 plus students.
Right.
We recently been awarded the best training providers of the year by Cybersecurity Malaysia.
Right.
So we do nothing except training InfoSec personnel. You see. So we somehow set up the benchmark already in the industries that, in order for you to work in certain positions, you need to have certain qualifications by EC Council. If you go to Google, let's say for job, in job portals, just put up EC Council certified hackers. You can see a list of industry demands, for this kind of experts.
Right.
So we actually, in short, setting up benchmark. It's like you want to become a accountant, you better have ACCA or CPA.
Right.
Now, if you want to become security experts, you better have certain qualifications. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's talk about Condition Zebra, or ConZebra in short. Can you tell us a little bit background on this?
Sure. ConZebra was born out of various entities that I have been involved with over the years, primarily focusing on security consulting.
Right.
My background has been very heavily in compliance and policy and regulation. I've been on 2 U.S. presidential commissions on policy and compliance development. Was on a group that created the President's Council for Critical Infrastructure Security, which became the kind of the blueprint for Homeland Security.
Right.
And we are interested in matters that deal with critical infrastructure, because the one thing that you cannot live without is the insurance that your critical infrastructure, whether it be as an individual, a business, an entity, or a government, or a nation, that remains secure and intact. In order to do business, in order to move forward, in order to prosper, or even just to barely survive, regardless of whether it was a security problem or a natural disaster like the recent hurricane on the East Coast, or the tsunami, and of course that affected Japan. Critical infrastructure is everything, and ConZebra was designed to provide extensive security consulting around infrastructure, and also to look after probably one of the more important components of a business, which is its web applications. And we're exclusive partners with an agency that focuses on nothing but web application security.
Right. And let's talk about the American, what's going on right now. What do you think about the local and regional information security right now? The landscape
here in this area?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who are looking here at point-and-click solutions. There are a lot of big players that are in Malaysia and Southeast Asia. They're just now getting to the point where frameworks and policies for general operation are starting to be implemented, which is to us. Malaysia is sitting at a kind of a crossroad between, Southeast Asia, of course, Western influence like Australia, and of course the Middle East. And it's kind of, I always refer to it as the Switzerland of Asia.
Right.
They're definitely more adept. The culture here is a little bit more technically educated and refined in the region.
Right.
And so naturally, with that desire for extreme advancement and technology advancement, come also the risks associated with wanting to move forward quickly, especially using information technology.
Right. And why, in your opinion, why should Malaysians be concerned about information security?
Well, it doesn't matter if you're a consumer or a small business owner or a large enterprise. You are going to be impacted by information security issues. You know, a consumer who's wanting to use their credit card online, for example, identity theft, risk management associated with how do I manage risk when I want to transact business online. If I'm a new business, what are the risks associated with expanding my presence online? Do I need to refine my web presence, and if so, what tools should I consider when reinforcing my not only my security but also protecting my assets behind the firewall? And frankly, you know, the whole idea of risk management is often misunderstood. A lot of people think that, you know, hacking and all of that is where all the problems lie. We still know that between 80 and 90% of all security risks happen internally. They are originated. The problems are originated behind the firewall. Users who aren't effectively trained. Even consumers who perhaps are still relying on those little yellow sticky notes under their keyboard. So a lot of risk management issues. So I see this as a very a strong place to do business because people are very much aware of the need for security here.
So what could ConZebra do to so-called educate these people?
Well, ConZebra has a couple of things obviously going on for it. We have probably one of the most comprehensive advisory teams in the world. We've got people that stretch all the way to the White House, and they go all the way to the college. We have PhDs. You know, we have information science and information technology instructors. I just wrote a grant for one of the largest state universities in the United States to provide a $3 million U.S. Apportioned funds to build a cybersecurity educational program, which is both an undergraduate and a postgraduate program for that school. It's already booked to capacity for the next 2 years. So, you know, we provide that kind of influence not only to the individual but also small businesses, as well as reaching into federal government. Obviously, with my experience and my team's experience going all the way to setting policy, and Wilson's team being able to provide educational resources around that, it's a great conglomerate between the two. It's a great connection, great association.
And Wilson, what?
I think on the Malaysians' perspective, we are one of the largest Facebook users. I mean, individuals per se are giving up too much information without them realizing.
Yes.
They just accepting friends all over. They have like 5,000 friends in the Facebook, and they give out information too freely every day. I go shopping, I go eating, I go everywhere. They will just announce it to the masses. Just for example, if you say I'm on holidays, that means what? Your house will be empty. You see, someone can actually target you. You say, I will be so and these destinations at this particular time. That means that you're allowing people to know that you are at that particular time. I mean, there are real cases happen that actually teenagers giving out too much information that lead to people to send emails to the mothers and ask for ransoms. I know your daughter movements, but the daughter is giving out information freely to the unknown, to the strangers.
Let's continue about giving out information freely. We will stop for a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll talk more on this right here on Hello Malaysia. Thanks for staying with us on Hello Malaysia. If you want to call us, you can call in at 0326937008, and we have Wilson Wong from EC Council Academy, Andrew Williams, the President and COO of Condition Zebra. Before we went for the break, we were talking about giving out information freely. Can you continue, Wilson?
And Facebook, as I said, we are one of the biggest users in the world in terms of per capita. So right now, I think virtually everyone have like hundreds of friends on their Facebook,
Sure.
even like thousands, you know.
Right.
They can even like limit up their accounts to 5,000.
And
That's what
three-quarters of them they do not know.
they don't know, and they give out information. It's like now you have very good applications. You don't even have to tell, just applications on it,
Right.
and they will actually set the locations
Right.
where you are at this moment in time,
Right.
and you will broadcast out to the Facebook,
Right.
and 5,000 of the so-called friends will happen to
know.
know where you are. If
Right.
someone have a bad intentions,
Right.
he or she can follow you to that locations and do something harmful to you.
And I even read somewhere that by posting a picture, they would know where your house is. When you download or upload your picture, they would know where it is exactly,
Yes.
and how is the condition of the inside of your house. So even that is also a threat, by posting a picture, right?
Definitely. I mean, you can attach your locations to it.
Right.
Yeah. So everywhere you go, you are like without privacy.
Right.
People know where you are at that
Right.
particular moment of time.
Right. And I was told by Drew that he had some mishap recently. Could you?
Yeah, before I go there, though, I'm going to take the other side of the coin here.
Right.
Bad guys don't really want to work that hard.
Right.
I mean, I posted on Facebook.
Right.
I live in Utah, and
Right.
I've got a half dozen daughters that are
Right.
always wondering where Dad is, right? So I posted that I'm going to be celebrating Deepavali tomorrow playing golf, and I
Right.
identified what golf course I'm going to be playing here.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure nobody's coming after me
Right.
on the golf course. And my house is covered in 24 inches of snow right now, so I'm
Right.
pretty sure we're safe there too.
Right.
However,
Right.
less than a week ago, I was out with a colleague for dinner. They broke into his car and stole my laptop, along with, they stole my bag, they stole my laptop.
Does the bag consist of your laptop, an iPod?
Yeah, my backup. I had 20 years worth of security research in it,
Right.
every grant I'd ever written, every article I'd ever written,
Right.
24,000 songs,
Right.
and the portable hard drive that I
Right.
kept with me.
Right.
And had I not had a contingency plan in place, I would have really been at risk. However, let me tell you what the consequences were.
Right.
As soon as that was discovered by my colleague, he was able to, and this is the good side of technology,
Right.
he was able to use the cell phone as a hotspot,
Right.
plug his laptop into the cell phone,
Right.
get the internet, have me access all of my password keys,
Right.
change all of my password keys to my bank account, my Facebook account, my email accounts, my
Right.
corporate accounts,
Right.
change all of that. The only two places that I couldn't get into was one place that stored my credit card for iTunes and my utilities at home.
Right.
The next day I was able to fix both of those, but within 48 hours the utilities on my house were already canceled. Somebody had taken the time to go in and actually send an email out to all my power companies, all my utilities, and they had run up a total on my credit card of a certain amount of money downloading music.
Right.
So I was
very smart.
They're very smart people.
Right.
And so, but I had a plan. I had a contingency plan. We exercised that plan.
Right.
And the good news, I mean, I have massive hard drive backups at home.
Right.
And I was able to recover the funding from my credit card. Was no big deal.
Right.
And so we kept it at a minimum loss. But how many people have that kind of a backup?
True. So what could you do? I mean, Wilson, what can we do to, like I said, educate these people to have contingency plan if we have so-called this kind of mishap?
Right now we are in a digital era. You see, it's not a choice. This digital world right now.
Right.
You see, the technology is moving so fast.
Right.
But the knowledge of the people are between a very huge gap.
Right.
People just use technologies without realizing the consequences of securities.
Sure.
Everybody's using Facebook, using Twitter, using whatever.
Right.
Or see social medias that available, but they don't actually talk about securities per se.
Right.
What is harmful to them?
Right.
So
what should they know? What should they know about security?
Those are like basics, like what need to do, what not to do. See what kind of emails they should open, what not to open. Till today, you can see headlines. People get scammed via SMS. People get scammed via emails. Hundreds of thousands ringgit losses. These are educated people, but still till today, bank have to publicize a big advertisements like, please beware. Don't click on certain emails not sent by the banks.
But that's not enough.
It's not. No, it's not enough. It's not. And if you think about it, I can hit on it, can't I?
Sure.
But if you think about it, the idea here is it's not just about the businesses. Consumers can be duped all of the time. They get duped all the time. So I think it's a matter of just being a little bit more aware of your surroundings.
Right.
You know, we have a saying in the military. I was in the military for a while.
Right.
Assess, adapt, and deploy.
Right.
You have to constantly assess your environment. You need to adapt to that surrounding based on what it is you need to accomplish or what's possible, and then deploy the best strategy that makes best sense to you as either a consumer, whether it's cost effective, or if it's productivity effective, if it's how is it going to impact your personal life, your business life, your business in general. Because it really is a war, if you will, you know.
But all this war, is it only the large corporations at war, like you said?
No,
all of us are at risk.
Yeah, anybody who uses the internet has to take some level of responsibility and due diligence to engage that technology. It's not like a telephone where it's just a little two-way connection. It's almost a three-dimensional connection because it affects your quality of life. It affects the outcome of your life. It can affect your life, and it can be a major enhancement to the quality of your life. You know, a colleague of mine, owner of one of the largest security companies in the world, said, I would never have been in touch with some of the people that I grew up with had it not been for something like Facebook. And I went to 17 different schools in 27 different states. I live in 27 different states. And 104 countries, and I have people all over the world, and I would never be able to keep track of these people if it wasn't for the internet. However, with that also comes responsibility. What are you willing to trade for the exposure to talk about where you are, what you're doing? And, you know, you have to manage the risk according to what you need to accomplish and what you're willing to live with.
Let's talk about, there's an event previously. It's called Hacker Halted APAC. Let's talk about that. Wilson, care to talk about that?
This event started in KL. It's been around for, I think, past 10 years. This is a main headquarters in Malaysia. So we are hosting it next week, Monday. So we are bringing the industry experts to share knowledge, know-how, you see. So basically we are tackling two different segments of people. One is the top management, one is the industry experts who want to know the latest technologies. So on the management side, we are saying, why should you train up people on cybersecurity? Why should you invest in training facilities, trainings, certifications? See, a lot of time companies they spend resources on infrastructures that can see, like firewall, like software. When it comes to prevention, train your people who actually manage the network. They feel very hesitant because if I train up these people, he or she might leave my companies and join other people. But what we're saying is, if they are not capable of doing the job, it will bring disasters. So prevention is always better than cure. So right here, we are trying to educate people the importance of hiring the right people, educating the right people, to make sure you employ the right ones for the right jobs. Not necessarily spending millions of dollars on hardware and software are safe. Who actually managing it, that's very important. So that's why we are bringing the industry experts to actually disseminate the information to the relevant people here in Malaysia. So we have delegates as far as from England coming in, we have delegates from Nigeria. You see, we have I think about 13 countries coming in this year to our hackathon events. Yes, been very successful events for the past 9 years.
Andrew, what's your role in the event?
I'm the lucky guy that's the host. I've been the what you would call it, the chair or the host for Hacker Halted for 6 years, I guess. And you know, it's a lot of fun. I basically kind of provide the just the general flow and direction of the event, and then I provide the closing keynote as well. And it's always on a new and fresh topic. This year it's on governance, risk, and compliance, and how critical infrastructure and governance, risk, and compliance need to be addressed as part of a security problem. It's not a hacker issue; it's a security issue.
Okay. Wilson talked about not so much spending on software and getting something in it rather than just the people. We had a discussion previously about talking about there's a lot of products there on security, but is it really necessary? Is it a necessity to have all the security? There's about 300 of them right now?
No. There are over 24,000 security vendors in the world.
Right.
Yeah, one from another, either consultants or true product vendors or resellers or educational advisors. Maybe I speak in hyperbole. Perhaps right around 20,000.
Right,
easily.
Right. But is it necessary to have all the security? There's so many, like you said, there's so many vendors.
Yeah.
Is it reliable?
No, it's not. No, and it's not necessary. In fact, the first talk I gave at Helo Malaysia back in, I think it was 06 or 07, I guess it was, talked about the issue of what the vendors aren't telling you. And, you know, back then...
Why aren't they telling us?
I'll tell you why. Because vendors go through a cycle just like any business. They start out with great intention, and my heart goes out. I'm a big proponent of enterprise. But at some point, through the evolution of business and cycling of revenue, they go from mission focused on solving a security issue to ensuring shareholder profits.
Right.
I've never not seen that happen, especially with publicly traded companies. They have to.
Right.
And a lot of them will lose their way, and many times they will just fall off the wayside because they no longer have investors who are interested, or the market just dries up and goes in a different direction because it changes so quickly.
Yes.
However, the big houses know that in business, whether it's security or anything else, there's basically three components of it, and you can only pick one of those or a combination of them. It's buy, build, or partner. And so they become magnets to these businesses and these topics very quickly by acquiring or partnering with or just simply buying new technology. A lot of the technology today is often peppered with former technology applications built into another code, just revised or have a new mask on it or something. So you've got to have some human intervention in there. You have to have some people who understand the history of this stuff. And they have to understand your infrastructure as well as you do. And
not just built a template for all.
Yeah, and in fact, many times businesses, well, I would say 100% of the time, businesses are in business to be profitable, not secure. So when you bring security people in, their job is to help augment the issue of, I'm not sure what I don't know about what I need with respect to securing my infrastructure. And that's where so many security companies crop up. They'll take a piece of code, they'll wrap it and put a pretty little number around it, face, and they'll sell it. And great products and great technologies have been born from that as well.
Okay, we'll take a short break right now, and when we come back, we'll continue talking about cybersecurity right here on Helo Malaysia. Reality, menjejaki masa, meninjau peristiwa, paparan kronika kembara kehidupan, berbagai keunikan juga pengalaman menarik dari dalam dan luar negara. Segalanya disorotkan selama setengah jam dalam jumlah Bernama setiap Ahad jam 9.30 malam hanya di Bernama TV.
Smart atau Stormwater Management and Road Tunnel berfungsi untuk mengurangkan masalah banjir di pusat bandara Kuala Lumpur, terutamanya di sekitar kawasan Masjid Jami. Apabila berlaku hujan lebat di kawasan tarahan Sungai Ampang dan hulu Sungai Klang, Smart beroperasi meluncurkan air lebihan di ketemuan Sungai Klang dan Sungai Ampang daripada memasuki pusat bandara Kuala Lumpur ke dalam kolam takungan Kampung Berembang. Flowing Smart dan kolam takungan Taman Desa sebelum disalurkan ke hilir Sungai Klang melalui Sungai Kerayung. Pengguna lalu lintas perlu menggunakan laluan alternatif semasa Flowing Smart ditutup untuk operasi banjir.
Right, thanks for staying with us on Helo Malaysia. You can call us right now at 0326937008, and we are talking about cybersecurity. Is it a nuisance or a chaos? With me, Wilson Wong from EC Council Academy and Drew Williams from Condition Zebra. Right, let's go to the next question. Are we at greater risks here in Malaysia rather than the other countries?
You know, risk. Is Malaysia at a greater risk?
Right.
I think it's proportionate to how technology is used.
Right.
I think the fact that Malaysia's geopolitical location, where it's in Southeast Asia,
Right.
it's relatively isolated from Europe and the U.S.
Right.
And that's not to say that other pockets of technology don't exist everywhere else.
Right.
Japan and some Korea certainly,
Right.
And certainly China's sitting up there, north of you folks. Are you at greater risk? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
In what way?
Well, because of a generational issue more than anything else.
Right.
Geopolitically speaking, again, I mentioned this before, you're sitting here as the Switzerland of Asia, you've got the Middle East, you've got Asia proper, and you've got slight Western influences from Australia, New Zealand, in the Pac Rim. But more importantly, I think, you have a generational issue.
Okay.
And an infrastructure issue.
Can you explain about generation issue?
Sure. In technology, we talk about the difference between digital natives
Right.
and digital immigrants.
Right.
Digital immigrants would be people like myself and Wilson, back when, and I'm a lot older than Wilson by 20 years.
Okay.
I remember in the U.S. where we had 4-digit phone numbers.
Oh.
Yeah, and so that's immigrant stuff, right?
Right.
And we weren't born with technology.
Right.
If I were to say 20 years ago, let me take a picture of you with my phone, somebody would lock me up. They think I was a nutcase.
Right.
Now
So
it's
that's in
like
James Bond.
yeah. We've got my James Bond watch going on.
20 years ago, aren't our phones like the house phone?
They were brick.
Yeah.
And the bigger the cooler too.
Yeah.
Hello, I've got this thing that's the size of 2 shoes.
Right.
That was technology.
Right.
Or a cord this long and a car phone.
True.
Hello, I'm on the dashboard. But now we've got this little bitty telephones that we can kind of put up on the cooler, the smaller one, the cooler.
Smaller, yes.
So children of this era of today, they don't know a time when there was no internet. They don't know a time when there was no cell phone.
It's true.
And mobile computing. And so that's the digital native.
Right.
And they see it as a way of life, where we see it as a necessity to augment or complement our way of producing more with the same amount of time.
True.
And because they feel comfortable in this technology era, greater risks come for those who fall into states of lulled comfort.
Right.
That and the fact that we also have an infrastructure issue.
Right.
Generally speaking, if you look at the West, you look at even perhaps Japan.
Right.
There have been years and years and years of building infrastructure. First the railroads, then the wire service, then wireless, then cable, then optical.
Right.
You guys went from, pretty much, local community isolated communications frameworks to wireless overnight.
Right.
And that has also a bit of risk associated with it. Because what happens for backup if something goes wrong?
That would be a problem later?
You see, digital immigrants like us, we are very much careful, you see, because when we are born, there's no Wi-Fi.
True.
Children nowadays born with Wi-Fi.
Right.
To them, it's like electricity. It has to be there, you see.
Right.
When you go to a house without Wi-Fi, it's like they feel funny. Why they say no Wi-Fi? It's like no electricity to us, or no water to us.
Right.
They don't actually. There's no precautions to using all these things. I log into the Wi-Fi. It's just normal, like I on the electricity.
Right.
You see, on the taps.
Right.
To them, Wi-Fi is a necessity.
Right.
And they don't actually do a lot of preventions compared to us. It's a new things. Maybe we are in that industries.
Right.
But I think we are a lot more careful when we deal with bankings online, or we deal with all this ATM.
Right.
Compared to the digital native right now.
Right.
It's like a must.
And because of this generation, what do you call it? Generation...
Digital immigrants versus digital natives.
Okay. With having this, so what are we supposed to do to, tell people about this, or we put it like the risk at the minimum side of it?
I think the education process is very important.
Right.
You see, like our age. You see, those days during the schools, we've been taught, you see, not to touch electricity. It's dangerous.
Right.
I don't think there's a syllabus or anything that touches on cybersecurity at the school level, the grassroots. But these children are being exposed to all these security threats, technologies, but they are not aware very much on the consequences. Yeah.
True. So they're born with it.
Yeah. They still follow the same old syllabus as ours. They still learn English, mathematics, science, chemistry in schools. But they are very much far ahead on technologies, but there's no syllabus that touches on such syllabus.
It's starting to happen here, but it's actually growing very rapidly in the States. Yeah, cyber technology training classes and cybersecurity is a big initiative in the States, K-12 system.
And we do not have it here yet, not so much.
Not so much. You see, we are trying to work with various institutions in Malaysia on these awareness programs. You see, we also work with media, you see, to actually disseminate the information to masses.
We were actually approached to write a grant petition to the government to help kind of initiate a movement with respect to advancing technology from a business standpoint. And my objective is that it needs to include a component of education and outreach.
And what's the feedback?
The deadline's not until March, so we're preparing it now. But I will tell you that we modeled one like this in the Department of Labor's camp in the United States. And you know, it took me 2 days of preparation, one phone call, and a slight bit of writing, and our team was able to secure, like I said, $3 million from the Department of Labor to build a program of educational development advancement, primarily focusing on displaced workers, but there's an educational component that reaches all the way down. So
so all these things are we supposed to educate them in primary or when they in college?
They start using that.
I agree. Well, let me give you an example. Like my kids are all, you know, teenagers and 20-somethings, and yet they still have their cell phone under their pillow when they go to sleep because they're waiting for a text from somebody. He's got a boy that's a year and a half old. Yesterday we were at an event, a dinner event. Do you know how he was entertained? Laptop sitting in front of him. The little guy can't even form a word. He's got a laptop and he's playing on his laptop. That's an 18-month-old child. You know, that's brilliant as far as I'm concerned.
So it should be, you know, they should start it as young as possible.
It is. They've been exposed to technology at a very young age. But the contents, the knowledge is not there. A lot of parents, they don't actually care about the consequences and let them use technologies.
Probably they don't not care. They don't really know that much.
If they don't know what they don't know.
And there's no source of information available for them. Where do they get information from?
So parents should be educated as well.
Absolutely. Very importantly.
Let's talk about cyber war. What is cyber war? Can Wilson explain? Catherine explain about cyber war?
Cyber war can be, in my opinion, it's like divided into two components. One is individuals as well as industries and governments. Individual cyber war can be identity theft. You see, someone steal Drew identity when he loses his bag. People hack into his Skype accounts and use Drew to communicate with his contacts. There can be a cyber war at individual levels. There are a lot of cyber bullies. You see, like this Facebook. You see, all these teenagers are fighting. It cannot in news. You see, two teenagers fighting because of Facebook. You see, the comments, and they start harassing each other. It can be on the government levels where we have a lot of government websites that been hacked, you see, by hackers. So it can be also on the corporate levels where they have a lot of industrial espionage, you see, on financial ways, you see, on reputations, you see. So it depends on what kind of cyber warfare we're talking about now.
I agree. I think that's right.
So how can we, I mean, what does becoming an ethical hacker entail? You know, to avoid all this cyber wars and, you know, all these things?
You know, the idea of the phrase ethical hacker, again, is a great way of creating a simple phrase to help people understand what it is they're going to get with respect to training. Now, this is Wilson's training program. It's one of their principal programs at UC Council. An ethical hacker is basically a security professional who understands both sides of the coin. You know, my team back in the 90s was one of the first truly corporate-funded hacker research teams in the world. And we reported our findings to the banks and the DoD. And the biggest pushback that we got, and the most common question I heard back then was, why are you doing this? Why are you publishing your findings? Won't the bad guys find out? And the answer is, they already know. The best way to understand how things get broken is to break them.
The same thing, see, when we launch as hacker in Malaysia, we be called by authorities. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to create more hackers, more thieves?
Yeah.
We are not creating, you see. We are letting the masses know about the technology.
You're deconstructing a problem. And that's really what it is. You're deconstructing a problem.
And giving awareness as well.
Yes, and you're reviewing why it was a problem, how it was broken down, and what things can you learn from that to create even a stronger solution, a stronger technology, and then, excuse me, and then reveal that information or share that information, publish it, or create a product, or whatever the case may be. And that information becomes very vital to how things operate in general. You take them apart. And then you find ways, and that's what hacker conferences are all over the world. They talk about, you know, how to jailbreak a cell phone, how to access the back door of Windows and Windows operating system. Why? Because other people are going to do that, and if you're using a Windows operating system for your banking system,
you should know.
You better know how to.
I think you don't have to go to Vegas to know all these things. Just go to Google's.
You can do it, Even I sometimes Google it, and I can find all the information.
And it's, you know, he mentioned Vegas. The largest hacker conference in the world is in Las Vegas. And so, you know, 10-20,000 people are there.
What happened there?
Yeah, and so its 20th anniversary was recently, and I remember when there were 40-50 people there, running buses. Now it's a $200 a person hit, and the day before that there's an event that's $2,000 US to bring top security agents from around the world, primarily the feds, that break out in real technical workshops and talk about major consequences, like how do you take an aircraft, how do you take control of an aircraft by providing phantom images of it on the radar for ground control. Real harm. How do you stop a pacemaker? How do you sit in a car and digitally change the guy next door to you, how he operates his vehicle? Man, serious stuff.
And I don't think, it's a good thing. I don't think it should be an event like only the professional go to. It should be given to everyone. Don't you think so?
Oh, sure. There are open forums for computer security.
It's more far from physical securities. You need to lock a house, you need to lock your cyber. It's the same, you see. We go to banks to transact transactions. We transacted a lot of transactions via online. So what's different? One is the online platform, one is the physical platform. So you educate, when bank users go to a bank, be careful about withdrawing money from ATMs. The same thing here on the online banking. So you need to be very alert. What need to do, what need not to be done in these situations. So it's two different platforms, but we have two different users right here. So we can't just educate them on the physical side. We have to educate them on the cyber side as well. So a lot of time, the bank are safe. The big giants, the industry are safe, but the users, a lot of times are careless on the user side and not the banks. For example, now we subscribe to, let's say, broadband. It's 24 hours, you pay one fixed price. You log in and you leave it on, because I really pay. I use it to the maximum. By right, you shouldn't do that. Once you are done, you log out, you don't be a victim.
We do have to do that.
Oh, sure. You can be a victim of the hackers using your laptops or PCs to penetrate some other people.
Okay, we shall continue on this right after this break, right here on Hello Malaysia. Thanks for staying with us on Hello Malaysia. You can call us at 0326937008. We were discussing on hackers and things that you will be seeing on the Hacker Halted. What would you be talking about at Hacker Halted?
Well, I'm personally closing it with a talk called The Shifting Sands of GRC, Governance, Risk Management, and Compliance. I'm talking about contingency plans and contingency factors that have to do with reducing the footprint, and how, and I mentioned to you this, how predators, which are, and hackers come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, because they exploit vulnerabilities in different ways. The vulnerabilities may be, like I said before, 85 to 90% created by the user. We call them stupid user tricks.
Which is, give me an example.
Sure. Leaving an open account on your directory as a company. You've got a test account with a null password, which means this password doesn't exist.
Right.
You get in there, you run a little injection, and you got access to the behind the scenes of your infrastructure.
Oh.
Then you got dumpster divers.
Okay.
These are guys that will physically jump into your trash and find your bills and things to find a personal ID number. They can exploit that.
Right.
They're going to assume naturally that your one password that you're using on Twitter is the same password you're using on your bank.
Yes.
And so
even someone who don't use technologies, social engineering.
Yeah,
by knowing you enough, you see, I can get information.
They know who you are.
Exactly.
Like you said, people who are hackers, usually the ones that internal, they know you.
Correct.
Yeah, no. Hackers aren't the guys that sit on the inside.
Right.
The guys on the inside are the ones that make the mistakes.
Right.
The hackers are they're predators. If you think about a predatorial animal, they go for the weak, not the strong.
Right.
They go for the target that's easiest to access. For example, I always use this example. In birds of prey, in the United States, of course, the bald eagle is one of the two sacred birds, a very symbol of the golden eagle.
Right.
The bald eagle is a fish hunting animal.
Right.
And when it dives and tries to catch a fish, it misses 60% of the time.
Oh.
An osprey, otherwise known as the fish eagle, because of the way its talons work, when it dives, it hits its prey 80% of the time.
Right.
So what the bald eagle will do is it'll wait for the osprey to catch the fish, and then it'll go beat up the osprey to make it drop the fish. And if it sees a dead fish floating in the water, it's going to go for that easier anyway, because it's weak, it's dead, or it's dying.
Right.
So predators go for the easy prey.
Right.
And if you, as I was talking about the shifting sands of GRC, if you understand how to reduce risk, you can't prevent risk, but you can greatly reduce it by simply taking a few insider steps, basic practices, basic protocols that will reduce your image, your footprint, while you can still conduct business and move forward and do whatever you want to do. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's about how to build fences to protect the people from the predators. And in this case, you're not putting fences around predators because you can't. You're putting the fences around the targets.
Right. Okay, let's talk about how many ethical hackers do we have here in Malaysia?
Nuisance Academy has been around for past 9 years. Right. You see, from the beginning we train about 300-400 students a year. See, right now every year we train about 3,000 plus students. I think all add up we have trained something close to 12,000-15,000 kind of people. Okay. But not many are certified, because to certify they have to go to a stringent exams to qualify, you see.
Right. Is that enough? Is that enough?
You see, these are open awareness, you see. Training you as hackers doesn't mean you are safe. Right. You see, it's just that there are more things to learn and to prevent precautions, you see. Not saying that I train you, you are certified, you are safe. No. Right. Just like teaching you to drive a car doesn't mean, you see, you can prevent accidents. You yourself need to be very alert. Right. So far, I think, to be on a safe, we have about like 12 to 15,000, you see, participants trained by East Coast Academies. Right. Not counting other certifications or other training centers. Right.
Okay. Any advice for the new budding information security professionals if they want to be in this industry?
Yeah, sure. I think if they're interested in this space, the first thing that they have to do is become aware of what the technology is. Right. They need to be very much savvy with how technology works, how do operating systems work, where are their weaknesses, where are the most published vulnerabilities, what are the most published vulnerabilities. Obviously everybody picks on Microsoft because it's the most used tool set, but generally it has probably the more common target opportunities, if you will. Right. And once an information security professional starts looking around, they'll find very quickly what they like to, what they're attracted to, whether it be encryption, where they have to understand a lot of math, high-level math. Right. It might be physical security. Right. It might be communication security, where they're dealing with mobile handheld devices or web apps or something along those lines. So it's all about education. And again, these guys, and I'm not tied to EC Council Academy.
Right.
Other than I host their Hacker Help event.
Right.
But this is a great resource. You can learn a lot from their courses.
Right.
So we have different training, different certifications made for different segments of the market.
Right.
Yeah.
It really depends on what area you want to specialize.
Right.
Is it to be expert on.
Right.
So we have like hacking training, to forensic training, to disaster recovery training.
Right.
Is it to all the way? We have our own master's programs that we qualified people, certified people. Yeah.
No, I'll tell you that with respect to that issue, I was at a hacker event a couple of years ago in Las Vegas, and the head of the NSA cybersecurity team, who had been there since the dawn of time, 20 plus years, said, and I'll not forget this, he said, "I do not know an information security professional who is right now unemployed." I agree with him. I don't know anybody who is an information security professional who doesn't have a lot of work to do.
There's always shortage.
Always a shortage.
Really?
We have been announced by MOSTIs, deputy ministers.
Okay.
I think we have short of about 12,000 certified security professionals.
Right.
What was the event that we went to that I spoke at a couple of days ago?
Cybersecurity Malaysia.
So, I mean, there's another example. There's such demand for this. They were even a week out and asking us to come and help participate in this and speak. So I spoke on an issue.
Right.
Interestingly, the day after my laptop was stolen, so I had to reinvent all that stuff.
Right.
But there's such demand.
Right.
It's just they're drinking up anything that has to do with information security. If there's a little credibility, you got some reputation, you've got some savvy in the area.
Right.
They need you.
Right. What kind of hackers are we facing in Malaysia right now? What kind of, is it the big ones, or just the ones that being very funny or very naughty? What kind of, is it as bad as the ones that you have it in states where they're very, very serious hackers, where they want to do a lot of damage to certain people or certain companies? Do we have that here in Malaysia?
I think we have various type of hackers. It can be those who just hack for fun. You see, a lot of students they hack to impress people. Because I know these technologies, but the hack is very harmful. Just imagine, like 3 years back, they created Melissa virus to impress some girls called Melissas. You see, I love you virus to impress girls. So these are history of some viruses created by students to impress people, guys to impress ladies. So we do have serious people who actually hack into like government website to bring down website to look to make the governments look bad. You see, that's really destroyed the reputations of certain government authorities. We do have various type of hackers in Malaysia as well.
And with that, do you think that the companies are doing enough to protect?
Absolutely not. No.
You can never have enough?
No. No, that's correct. You can never have enough because it requires constant awareness and constant education. Companies make the mistake of relying on a couple of point solutions and thinking that's good enough. And the problem is broken at the C level, at the executive level. They think, I got somebody downstairs who's worrying about that. No. It's become a boardroom problem. And if the boardroom is not aware of what the problems are by remaining transparent with how their operations are running, that's where the problems start.
Okay, I think that's the end of our show. Thank you so much for being with us and talk about cybersecurity. And I'm Shirati Sanfi. Hope to see you again real soon. Goodbye.